last Friday, April the 25th,
Yeah, 25th.
April the 25th, a special call meeting was held here at City Hall by Mayor and City Council to discuss plans to have a special election for replacing Councilman Maceo Mahoney. And we all know that due to untimely death, but to replace him for the remainder of his term. And the charter or the code tell us that if there is a vacancy that is 12 months or less, then the mayor and council would have the right to replace that individual. If there's 12 months or more, then the special election process would be in place. And so last week meeting was to discuss just that. After long discussion and so many things, one of the reason that District 2, and I'm saying District 2 council members was debating on having a special election was simply because we didn't have the funds to do it, or where would the funds come from to do it. And so after long debate and discussion, I proposed that each committee or each department that I am that I represent, that we would shave or we would cut and try to find the projected $40,000 that was anticipated to have a special election. Councilman Cullars himself, he asked the city attorney last week, how much do the city have in funds or discretionary funds in the budget and so forth and so on. And so after the comments of the city administrator, the comment was over $500,000. And so that eliminated the concern about where would the dollars come from. And so much discussion was continued to go on. And at the end of the discussion of having a special election to replace Councilman Maceo, Councilman Cullars made a motion to have the special election. I can't remember if you said June, but as soon as possible in June.
Yes.
And I second that motion. And when the votes was cast, all three council members from District 2 said no. Councilman Cullars and myself, we said yes. Now there's some talks and conversation that's been going on. Should have one of the District 2 council members excuse themselves from voting and so forth. I don't know about that. I know now, but that may have been an option and so forth. But it just really disturbing to me. As much as Councilman Mahoney has poured and plowed into this community and worked tireless behind the scene. See, some people think that being a councilman is just on the second Monday, 6 p.m. And for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, you discuss matters. Not Councilman Mahoney, not Councilman Hill and Councilman Cullars and the other councilmen. They are out in the community. So we wanted to make sure, number one, that we had fair representation. We had fair and equal representation to do the work before we get to city council meeting.
Right.
So again, all three District 2 council members voted not to host a special election, in which that means that District 1 will be underrepresented until November. And I think that that's not fair to the citizens of District 1. I think it's not fair to the citizens of Washington, Georgia. And Councilman Mahoney worked with a couple of council members I know on committees, for instance, like the electric committee. Now, Councilman Cullars, I would have thought, or we would have thought or imagined that his committee members would have supported him in that regard. But however, that wasn't the case. So I wanted to update that, and I'm going to allow Councilman Cullars, Senior Councilman Cullars, to talk on that point
Okay, my perspective of this meeting on the 25th was a travesty for the whole citizens of Washington, Georgia, because every election that I've been on council, we had a special election for Pam Eden, special election for Mr. Cowan. No problem. Didn't ask about money. But it concerns me when a District 2 person come in and said, my constituents don't want to have it. It's not about District 2. The city of Washington was sued because we didn't have representation. Let me repeat that again. Didn't have representation at this table because it was like district at large. We could never get but one African American on council. Lo and behold, the NAACP sued the city of Washington, and we won that. And the lawsuit still is in effect to this day, that we must have representation sitting at this table. It's not happening. We're going to have a special election for the city of Washington, like it or not, and it's going to be before November. You can believe that. We're going to have it because it's not right, especially when people's putting out there that $40,000 could be going to give you a credit on your light bills. Not true. Not true. If that was the case, we could have been giving you credit on your light bill. So those kind of things need to stop. Another thing, I can go on and on. I should have brought it with me, the lawsuit that the city's in because we couldn't get representation. And for those council members to sit there and say, let's vote 3-2 to not have election to November, this is sad, very sad, very disrespectful for the citizens of 62% in this town. So whether they like it or not, we're going to have an election. I can guarantee it's going to be before November. God be the glory.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilman. Before we get into the next steps, I wanted to kind of talk just a little bit about what was the thinking. Now, I would have thought that one in particular, and I won't call his name, because we talk more than any of the other two other two council members from District 2. And I thought that he would have called me in this particular time and we would have communicated and tried to figure out, I won't say fix it, but try to figure out and do something about last Friday.
Right.
And I don't mean that in a sense of saying we need to work hand in hand. I mean that in a sense of brotherhood. When you say city councilmen, we are elected
Correct.
to sit in these seats as you talked about.
Correct.
And so whether I like you or not, whether I disagree with you or not, we have been elected by the people, and that's a form of brotherhood to me.
Yeah.
And I have not gotten one call from the brotherhood to say, Councilman Hill, how can we work together? How can we fix this for our fallen brother?
No. And the problem with that is they're just elected. I could understand that, but they're new to the game. That's mean they don't have a lot of training up on it. But you understand it's disrespect as a councilman that's got 20 years of experience. No, neither one of them nor the mayor have ever came to me and asked me anything about how do this go and how does they just willy-nilly doing what they want to, and it's going to stop. You got the mayor out here telling folks that hold the light bill for the mayor. It's not his call. We elected an administrator that's supposed to run the city and run everything. We should go to him, like I do, ask questions, do what you need to do. But for him to be out like he's doing, he's going to cost us a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he don't run the city. I keep telling him he just chair a meeting.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because the first African American man that was at the city of Washington, they changed the charter. The mayor used to have power.
Yeah.
The mayor don't have any power no more. They want to make sure that the council have the power. Mm-hmm. But the administrator worked for the council, not just one councilman, two councilmen, all that. He had the responsibility of doing whatever it is take for the city and report back to us.
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
Too many new, like I said, we're on this plane and it's gonna crash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's gonna crash.
Yeah. One more thought on that, Councilman Cullars, and I kind of jotted down a few notes. One more thought on that subject is definitely we work behind the scene month to month to make the community the best that it can possibly be. And two or three things that I know Councilman Mahoney was working on, that is the progress of Gordon Street, and I'm not getting into the different thoughts and so forth, but Councilman Mahoney wanted to see progress, and how that progress looked. We need to find out. We need to figure out. And so I know also that he was working full time on better housing for our community. And God knows Washington, District 1 and District 2 need more affordable, quality housing. And so Councilman Mahoney would go around the state, around the areas, trying to figure out what others are doing and bring it back to our community. So what I did was I put out there early this week that I was going to take on, volunteer and take on some of the responsibilities. I think you received the email. Take on some of the responsibilities of Councilman Mahoney, especially in the area of housing and in the area of Gordon Street. And so nobody else but yourself volunteered of how we're going to take up the slack.
Correct.
Now, again, the vote that was taken,
Correct.
the mayor he did mention that he was working behind the scene to see how we can. The vote has been taken. Until you come back to this table and make another motion,
Correct.
then we're just talking. We're not
Correct.
action. And the word teaches us works without action is faith without action, and all that stuff is no good. So I volunteered to help and take on some of those responsibilities, and I think we all need to step up to the plate
Most definitely. Yes.
with Councilman Mahoney's some of his work.
Yes.
But we can't wait until November. That's my point. We can't wait until
No, we
November
can't wait till November
for someone to take up that slack.
Like I say, it's out of respect. We shouldn't even be discussing $40,000 for an election. We shouldn't be discussing anything. We should be actually doing what we need to do to have a special election. Set the date and time, move forward.
Yeah.
As I sat in this room and I was looking around, I mean, out of respect, you would think they would have came to us and said, should we take Councilman Mahoney's picture off the wall until we find it? It's already gone. So there's no respect to them. They just do what they want, and it's going to stop. Trust me, it's going to stop.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I said that was going to be the last thing I wanted to comment on that, but you brought up an interesting point, because some people get it twisted. When you call and ask for support, they take it as though you're begging, and we're not begging to do right.
No.
We're saying that by the policies and codes and by the law. See, you can't legislate a man's or person's heart.
That's correct.
You can't legislate that. You can't write a policy, a rule, and legislate a man's heart.
No.
That's within the individuals. And so we have a lot of work that we need to do. And so we're not begging District 2. We're not begging them to come to the table and let's make it right, what we should have done last week. But we're taking extra steps, just a little bit about that. We're taking extra steps to make sure. So we've made some leadway. Won't get into a lot of that, but we've made some leadway as to the next steps. But I'm believing, just like you, Councilman Cullars, that within the next few weeks we should be hearing something very positive.
No doubt.
That the city should be making sure
No doubt.
that they do.
My perspective of Juneteenth on the square is I didn't want to have it at the museum because that's not the right place to have this. Really, folks understand what Juneteenth is. I know what I know what Juneteenth is. It's just Juneteenth on the square in front of a Confederate statue. I don't buy that, especially when I fought to have that statue taken down. And then when folks sitting around the table saying the city didn't own it, the square, but they do.
Right.
Juneteenth is a celebration of abolishing slavery. And I had someone was telling me that somebody that looked like me was on Facebook saying that they wanted it on the square because you could have had hanging over there at Reese Booker Park. I'm very perturbed about that. You can't mix those two.
Yeah.
Juneteenth is a celebration for us for being free. And also they said, well, if you have it at Booker Park, you won't have any white Americans over there. It's not about white Americans. It's about celebrating freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they don't want to come over, so why we gonna? It's so sad that we got some good peoples here, some good people, and I recommend and I talk about them all the time.
Yeah.
But it's so sad they got few bullies or white people that are running these good peoples out of town.
Yeah.
Don't make sense. But I'm sticking to it, and I'm asking folks to protest having Juneteenth on the square. Period. Have some respect about ourselves. We're not going to meet anybody halfway. Meet them for what?
Yeah.
Don't make sense. Yeah, probably if the statue went up there, we would have it up on the square. I don't know. It's just hard to say, but it's not about coming. It's about us being free. My slave, our forefathers, and all that. So I'm deterred about some folks. But anyway, I'm protesting it, and like I said, if you go to the square to have Juneteenth, I'm gonna call you out.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Councilman Cullars, let me start from the beginning.
Okay.
Because you and Councilman Mahoney, you guys recommended me to be on that historic
Sure did. We
properties.
recommended you.
Yes, y'all sent me over there.
As the rookie,
I was the
You
only
need something
black.
to do.
I was the only black in that meeting and a few other meetings. And the last administration, or the last mayor, Mayor DeGolian, we decided that we wanted to mend the gap. We wanted to close the gap between black and white being at the museum and in the community. And so we started coming up with ways how we can do that. And we started doing things. So the first event that we had is a celebration of Juneteenth. We had almost 100 people. This will be the fourth year that we've been working with this, the third year. This second year, we had over 150 people. Had the food vendors out there, and really it was about education. It was about liberation and educating people. It would never were about making money.
Correct.
And so as a committee member to the historic properties, it is disrespectful for that committee to go inside the historic committee and designate a Juneteenth planning committee without my knowledge. Andy Anderson and I are the two appointed council members to that committee. So that committee created a planning committee to spend allocated dollars by the city council without the knowledge, without the consent of me. And I think that's wrong. I think that was wrong when they did it. I think it's wrong today. And I think it's wrong next week. All I'm saying is that Juneteenth celebration, going back to Councilman Mahoney, he raised the motion that the city of Washington would create another holiday, be recognized as Juneteenth celebration.
That's correct.
And we voted it in. All 6 council members voted that in. I think to this very day that Councilman Mahoney would not approve of Juneteenth celebration being on the square. especially, and we're getting into that, but especially what we have going on at Booker Park. I do not believe Councilman Mahoney would approve
Well,
that.
he wouldn't, because when they had Juneteenth, if you remember correctly, at this museum, he had it at Reese Booker Park. It was at the park, so he did not come up to the museum. He had Juneteenth at Reese Booker Park.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I stand with you toe to toe, shoulder to shoulder. I all the way disapprove, number one, of spending that committee and our committee gonna spend dollars, approve to spend dollars, and to have the Juneteenth celebration on the square. I toe to toe with you on that, and I will not support it. Simpson Park has already opened. Booker Park, I took some pictures today. The sod, the grass has been laid. Very, very beautiful over there. I don't know how the commissioner, the director, Mr. John Barnett, done any testing. You asked me about that.
Right.
I did. The administrator and I talked briefly by text, and we want to make sure that everything is ready to go. So we're talking about hopefully within the next couple of weeks, and then planning an actual event where, again, what we've been talking about is recognizing Councilman Maceo Mahoney as one who has the vision, one who has been at the forefront, the leadership to make sure that these two splash pads gets the use and for the community as well as for the kids. It has been told, and I totally support the community in this regard, that Booker Park will stay. We will not add another name. I will not support add another name anywhere in Booker Park. It will remain Booker Park. But I do think, Councilman Mahoney, Councilman Cullars, that Councilman Mahoney need to be recognized when we have opening day and the opening event. And some of the things I've been thinking about, maybe a balloon release or a proclamation that will go to his mom, to his family, Troy, or to his brother. But I do think that he need to be recognized as one who also the mission, the vision, and the leadership was a part of this reality. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You agree
I agree.
with Booker Park? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Greg has been talking about Booker Park, and we have not done the testing, but hopefully the same day that the pool is going to open, then we'll have the opening of the splash pad and have the ceremonial event. Now, I know at Simpson Park tomorrow, the mayor and others will be at Simpson Park for grand opening day, and a lot of good things are going to be happening, having activities for the kids and for the whole community. So that is already in the work. But as it relates to Booker Park, we're planning to have events, and we'll be contacting all of the community leaders and other people to move forward with that recognition. I would like to see a flag. I don't think we have I know we have the flag post out there, but I don't think we have a United States flag at Booker Park.
It was one. They must have taken it down, but it's one
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I know the flagpole is there.
Yeah.
But that. So with that, if there's any, those are the three things that I wanted to make sure that we update the community and update on moving forward with the getting a representative to replace Councilman Mahoney, as well as the Juneteenth celebration, and then Booker Park.